Welcome back to Overtime Heroics. I'm Mason Shatwell and I'm sitting down today with the Cage Steel boss, Mr. Dominic Gibbs. Dom, how are you, man?
I'm good, mate. You?
I'm very well. I was going to start off with saying this. How excited are you for fans to be back in the arenas?
Mate, I think I speak for everyone. Everyone's kind of missed it. I think when the UFC did their behind closed doors, everyone was like, "Oh, I kind of like this." They could hear the punches dropping and stuff. As soon as they did a show where the fans were back, everyone was like, "Oh, this is what it's about." It's a fan-related sport. Why not? We've got to have fans for it to be what it is.
100%. I'm going to talk about the last show before we get onto this one. How different was it organising an event during COVID than obviously your previous events, which was full sold-out arenas?
Absolutely shocking. Like really hard work. Dealing with the councils and police were just ridiculous because all they wanted to know about was whether you got COVID marshals or, there was a point when I kind of kicked off because not once did they ask me what doctors I had on for the guys in the cage, what kind of medical facilities we put together. And I said to them, you're talking about athletes that are young, they're healthy, they're fit. They don't die of COVID. So The risk factor is zero, and yet they're going in a cage, hitting each other in the face, kicking each other, kneeing each other. None of you have asked me about that. It was difficult to do. The whole country became COVID was just, the National COVID Service, not the National Health Service. Everything was related to COVID, and like there's so many hoops to jump through, and we had to jump through them if we wanted to put a show on, which was, some of the stuff we had to do. I didn't enjoy, putting fighters in a gazebo to warm up outside is not what Cage Steel's about. We talk about that we're made by the fighters for the fighters, and that's not who we are. And, I want the fighters to come back when there's proper facilities and we can buy them water and fruit to put in the changing rooms. We weren't allowed to do any of that. It was crazy. So
yeah, obviously with this being fans back, it's the first one for, well, it's been a while now for Cage Steel, hasn't it?
March 2020.
That just shows how long. But apart from the stuff that didn't go well for the event, we'll get onto a bit more stuff on that. What was your thoughts on the fights that we've seen on Cage Steel 25? Because I know I was blown away with some of the performances we've seen.
Like so the performances were great. Some of the fights were incredible. And one of the kind of good things was that, I commentated on my own show, which I'd never get to do. So that was I enjoyed that, it was good. And sat there commentating and having the kind of quality of the people that were in the corners. Some of the matchups were like watching a video game being played. The coaches their instructionals were that precise and followed that precisely by the athlete. It was literally like watching two guys play a video game. That was good.
I'm gonna put you on the spot on this one. Which was your fight of the night?
Oh, wow. Fight of the night. Carl Jones and Simeon Otley, I think, was a good fight. Racking my brains now. Mason, we're like 3 weeks away from a show. I don't know my own name. It's like the last show. I'm like, the last show.
Well, there's one that springs to my mind, and it's a big rematch on Cage Steel 26. Sean Lomas and Tom Crosby. That was a good fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rematch of that.
Mason, you're obviously from a Sean Lomas camp, so I've spoke to quite a lot of Tom Crosby kind of supporters. They all believe Tom Crosby won that fight. What's your view?
Like you say, I'm from Sean's camp. I train with Sean, so I'm probably going to be biased, but I had it 2-1 to Sean. I had the 2 rounds to 1 to Sean, but as it said on one of the posts on the Cage Steel Facebook, no matter who he scored the fight to, both sets of fans were going to be upset, and that's why I think it's good that we're getting this rematch so it can get settled.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was there commentating on it. I didn't watch it from a judge's point of view. When the draw was announced, straight away as a promoter, you're like, wow, that's going to upset everybody. But then the business brain kicks in and thinks, oh, we get to do this again. You know, and it was such a great fight. And they were both disappointed with the decision. So for me, that just sets it up to be even better next time.
100%, because I remember speaking to Sean, I think it was either the night of the fight after the fight happened, or it was the day after, and he told me, obviously Tom said he's up for the rematch, Sean was, and I was like, yeah, this has got to be a fight that's got to happen.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as it happened, it was like, you know, I was talking to him, if you're upset, let's run it again. Because we talked, you know, a few times, Sean is a legend. He is an absolute legend in the fight game. He's tough as you like, you know what I mean? And he always comes to win, and he does, you know, he does get the wins. So he's almost seen as like a gatekeeper. So if you want to go to the next level of the pro game, you've kind of got to get through Sean. And Tom didn't do that, you know, and on the interviews before the fight, we actually raised that with him, and he said, yeah, that's what I have to do. And I said to him, you left it in the judge's hands. That isn't really, you have to put Sean Lomas away to be considered, you know, because if you kind of grind out a victory by decision against Sean, you ain't kind of made that statement that I'm ready for that next level. And trust me, it's not easy to do to get past Sean.
100%. I see the work he puts in, so I'm sure it's going to be a great fight. But something I wanted to bring up about Tom as well is, I know after his fight at Cage Steel, he ended up having another fight, and it did not go his way. Do you think that could play any psychological factor in Tom's game?
This game is a massive psychological. I always say fighting is about 80% psychological, and yet you get people trained 99.9% physical. And if you don't sort this out, you know, so much can go wrong. Tom's quite a strong kind of minded guy, you know. So I don't know how he's going to take it. I interviewed him just the other week, and he seemed like he was switched on for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't like to, if I was in Sean's kind of corner, I'd be saying, listen, this kid he's not gonna take anything from that. So let's just go out and do our thing.
100%. And I was going to bring this point up as well. This is going to be my first MMA show to see live because I'm going to be in attendance there. What can I expect from Cage Steel?
Mate, Cage Steel, it's like we're renowned for like the atmosphere. The orange cage glows off the like low dome roof. The lights are great, the fights are great, the crowd's great, the atmosphere is great. You expect a great night.
I can't wait for it. I've not spoke to a promoter that's been promoting a show after COVID or before COVID. I don't think I've done it before, but what goes into organising a show now where restrictions are off the table as to pre-COVID?
So yeah, I mean, there's always the factor of matching fights and rematching fights because people get injured. You know, it's a tough sport, so you kind of got to expect injuries. I think when I first started promoting, it used to drive me crazy. You know, you get the message through so and so's injured, I'd be like, stressed. And now I just accept that I love what I do, and that's part of the job. So everyone has bits of the job that they hate, so that's part of it. So you kind of get ready for that. There's obviously all the marketing side of it, the ticket sales side of it. Promoting shows is not for the faint-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
If you, it's not an easy thing. You're not gonna kind of just put a show on and make loads of money and, you know, sail away on your yacht like McGregor's Lamborghini yacht or something. So it's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to put the work in. And you know, I've worked hard on this for 11 years. So it's kind of back to mainly normality. But the problem now is you've always got this kind of this horrible cloud hanging over of what if we get locked down again? What if these numbers go up? What if Boris starts being a dickhead again?
Yeah.
And it is such an awful place at the minute that you just don't know, and you're kind of trying to keep up with things without watching the BBC and, frying your brain.
100%, and obviously with this again, like we've mentioned, being the first show with fans outside since 2020, you said. Do you have any fights that you think are going to be fight of the night on this card? That any fights that you think could show up?
Oh, mate, the card's probably our best card. And I've looked through it, there's some incredible fights on there, and I'm just like, I mean, obviously the main event is a great fight, and it has to be, otherwise it won't be the main event. But you look through the field, there's just so many fights on there. To call a fight of the night right now is like, whoa, you know, that's when you know it's a good card. When as a promoter, you're almost ready to pay the entry fee yourself.
100%. I've got the card up here. I'm looking at some of the fights. Amari Daedrick and James Powell. That's one I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, yeah. Amari being a glory kickboxer and being allowed to come over to Cage Steel. How excited are you for seeing Amari in the cage?
Well, excited to see him in the cage, and to see him against Power is ridiculous. I mean, we all saw what Power could do in the last show, and the head kick knockout. So we've got this guy who's potential to do those kind of things, and it's like, how is this going to match up? I can just see it being an absolute fight. I've kind of got goosebumps just thinking about the fight.
And I mentioned someone in our last interview, Louis Lee Scott. He's back on the card. Are you excited to see Louis back? Because I was really impressed with him last time out.
I was excited to see Louis back, but the bad news is Louis got injured yesterday.
Oh, damn.
That's an exclusive for you.
Well, I wish Louis the best of luck to recovery. I wanted to ask, after this show, is there any plans for any more shows in the year that you're allowed to say yet?
We've obviously got 4th of December booked, and again, it's down to whatever happens in the world. Really, we're all on this kind of roller coaster. I used to call it the COVID roller coaster, and it literally is, because you just don't know what's going to happen, and it's there's all sorts of talk about us getting locked down again in September, and how long will that last for, and will we get the December show in? And all we can do is we've got to plan for it, hope for the best, plan for the worst, and we've kind of been using this time to set out our 1, 3, 5 year plans. We've got some exciting stuff on the horizon. We just got to get out there and be allowed to promote shows.
I think I'm correct in saying the shows at the Doncaster Dome.
This one is, yeah.
Yeah. How excited are you to be back in the Dome?
The Dome's a great arena for MMA action. The tiered seating, the kind of VIP, how it sets itself out. It's a low roof, so the atmosphere carries. It's a great kind of fighting arena, if you like. So we enjoy being there.
Yeah, 100%. How can people get tickets for this event?
So they can, if they know one of the fighters, they can get in touch with a fighter, go on one of the fighters' bios, or alternatively, they can go on www.cage-steel.co.uk, click on the link to buy tickets. But be quick, because they are selling out big time.
Yeah, no doubt. I've just got a few more today, because I'm sure you're very busy, because it's late in the day as well. So I do appreciate your time.
That's fine.
Out of the whole Cage Steel events, apart from this one, forget the one coming up, which has been your standout one?
As an event?
Yeah.
I'd have to say Sheffield Arena, just because it was, it was a dream of mine to do. It's an arena. It was ridiculous. We will be going back.
100%. Well, when do you think you could be back in the Sheffield Arena?
Depending on COVID, I would hope to say 2022. So at some point next year, I think we'll be back at the arena.
100%. And I want to talk about some of the people that help you behind the scenes as well. How helpful is it to have a team like you have at Cage Steel? Because I know I speak to a couple of them. Alex, they do some great jobs. And how helpful is it to have a supporting team like that?
It's not helpful. It's necessary. I couldn't do all this without them. All the time I say that I've got an amazing team. I'm just a small cog in this massive wheel. It's there's so many factors that go into it. There's the fighters, obviously. There's there's yourselves, you know, the journalists. I know not everyone likes being called a journalist, but you know, the people that are doing the work that you're doing, you know, putting those hours into it. There's the fans, you know. Without the fans, we can't do it. But my team, you know, I'm always saying I am blessed to have a great team. They work hard. They've taken Cage Steel as not just my dream anymore. It's our dream and what we want to do with it. And you know, we want people like yourself, and we want the fans and the fighters to be part of that dream. You know, building something incredible.
100%. Before we end, how can everyone find Cage Steel on social media?
Anyway, type in Cage Steel, Instagram, Twitter, go on, obviously Facebook, LinkedIn. We're on pretty much everything. The only thing we're not on is TikTok.
It's just
we did open an account. I actually said to the team, TikTok looks like the next big thing. There's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk who I absolutely love watching his stuff. He was saying, just get on it. It could be the next big thing. It is the next big thing. But it's just not for us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be dancing.
You're not going to get Mr. Gibbs doing the dances on there, are we?
I think I did one. I think I did that. Something like that. I don't know. I'll do one at Cage Steel.
100%. Well, Dom, it's been a pleasure as always, mate, and I can't wait to be at my first MMA show, which is going to be Cage Steel.
Sam, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dom. Take care, mate.